I've got this five reasons why people don't perform. Have you heard of that before? It falls into one of them. They don't know how.
Yeah.
So have you heard me talk about the five reasons why people don't perform, and all of them are on you? Have you heard about
Uh,
that? Would you be open to it? No. Sometimes I just don't know where I mention these things, so probably got lost, right? So there's five reasons why people don't perform, and all of them are on you. All of them. It's never anyone's fault that they're not performing. It's always someone else who's got responsibility for it. They've got some responsibility for their own development and responsibility for their role and to perform in the role. But if they're not performing, it's on you. It's on you. So let me just see if we can recall this without writing them down. Um, the first reason is they didn't know they needed to do it. So how many of you have been in a situation where there's like so many forms to complete, or there's so many additional forms that you just didn't even know that you were meant to do the thing. So that's the first reason. They just didn't know. They're very motivated individuals. They just didn't know they needed to do the thing, in which case the solution is really easy. Do the thing. Put it in writing to them, tell them verbally, do the thing, and they'll do the thing. Make sense? Number one? Does that make sense? Number two, they know they need to do the thing, but they don't know how. And this is the one that you've got there, Julie. Like, you can perhaps articulate these reasons that you actually determined out of the five reasons why people don't perform. This was the primary reason. So this individual just doesn't know how to do the thing that you talked about. No one's ever shown her. She's never asked. She's probably felt embarrassed to ask, because everyone seems to know what they're doing. She just didn't know how. And this can be not just for complex areas like the area you're working in, but something like a stop and search. We presume that everyone knows how to do a stop and search because they've been to training school. But what if their mother had just died that week, and they were trying to hold their shit together at training school, and the week they covered stop and search, they just had no idea, and they had a tutor that wasn't very proactive. And perhaps they just did one or two stop and searches and they weren't done very well, but the tutor didn't really know neither. And no one's shaking their heads thinking, no, that would never happen. And so they're now on response and they're just not doing many stop and searches. And it's not because they're not motivated, because they might be motivated in everything else and they know they need to do stop and searches, but they just don't know how to do so. So again, it's on you. You've discovered it, right? I need to show them how to do this thing. It's not an NCALT package. It's not sending them to training school. My responsibility as a leader is also to develop my team. So how did I go about developing that individual to be competent and confident in stop and searches, or in the thing that you're talking about, Julie? Is that making sense? Number two. Number three, they know they need to do it. They know how to do it. They just didn't know it needed submitting by a certain time. So this is probably a little rarer in the police, but in the world of business, this occurs. And I'm terrible for this. I'm terrible for setting my team a task, especially my VAs. I'll set them a task to do something, but I won't tell them when I need it doing by. So when I go back to them and say, have you done that thing yet? Have you built that VSL? Have you built that email sequence? They'll just go, no, I haven't done it yet. And I'll be like, well, why have you not done it? Well, you didn't tell me when you needed it by. So I didn't know it was urgent. So unless you tell people that it needs doing by a specific time, then they won't prioritize it. If you tell them it needs doing by the end of the day, then you've been really crystal clear. Actually, by the end of the day is a bit woolly as well, isn't it? Especially if they've got home working capabilities. So you're expecting it at 5 o'clock because that's the end of the day, but they think 5 o'clock. They think 5 o'clock is just part of the day on the way to 23:59 hours. That's the end of the day to them. So again, you've not been clear just by saying by the end of the day. Are you still with me? Three reasons so far. The fourth reason is they're just not motivated. For whatever reason, they're just not motivated to do the thing. And if I just think back to times in my career, as a neighbourhood inspector, I had a superintendent who tried to motivate me by just telling me to do so, to put PCSOs in ASDA to stop shoplifting because it was impacting on our numbers, or to have one of my officers park up a uniform, a marked car, and stay in it on the forecourt of a petrol station to stop drive-offs. I wasn't motivated to do either of those things, so I just didn't do them. Didn't do them. Just like, I'm not doing those. Not doing it. Told him, not doing it. Well, you have to do it. I'm telling you. I don't want to do it. It's pointless. It's ridiculous. I've already spoken to the owner of the petrol station who's told me every time he sells a drink, it makes up for all the losses from one drive off. And the only reason he reports it is because his accountant has told him to do so, so he can claim back the VAT, claim back all the duty. And actually, no, he's not prepared to give someone up for an hour so they can write a statement. He just doesn't want to take part in the investigation. So he wasn't motivated. I wasn't motivated. Members of the community weren't motivated for me to do that. Same with Asda. Asda's like, get more security guards. You want to stop thefts? Stop putting your beer, stop putting crates of beer by the entrance so people can just walk in and take them away. And if you continue doing that, I'll take your license off you, by the way. And get more security officers. Like, I'm not putting PCSOs in, yeah? Oh, but the Asda in such and such a place has got PCSOs. Yeah, they might, but we're not. We're not doing it. So I just wasn't motivated. Now, you may be thinking those are ridiculous things, but no one's shaking their head saying that never happens anymore. So you got to think about if you're trying to motivate someone to do something, they've got to see not just the merit in it. Like if I reduced shoplifting from Asda and reduced drive-offs from that petrol station, it would have merit. Yeah, agreed? Merit, as in I've achieved what I set out to achieve. But one of your roles as a leader is to ensure that people are motivated to do something. And the only way they're going to be motivated to do something is if they can see that there's a sense of worth in what they're doing. So there's three things here: merit, worth, and value. Merit, worth, and value. And if you're thinking, God, that sounds like a genius phrase, that, Brendan, where did you get that from? Did you invent it? No, I didn't. It's from the definition of evaluation by a academic evaluator called Michael Scriven, who said the definition of evaluation is the systematic determination of the merit, worth, and value of the evaluand, of the thing that's being evaluated. And I've always thought that's a really good way of thinking about anything we do. Does it have merit? As in, yes, we've reduced the number of thefts from Asda, we've reduced the number of drive-offs from that petrol station, but worth, did any of you join the police to do that? Did any of you, hands up if you joined the police thinking, I can't wait to get stuck in parking up a vehicle on the forecourt of a petrol station, or I can't wait to start patrolling Asda to stop shoplifting. Did any of you join the police to do that? No, neither did I, which is why I just never did it. I just never did those things. The superintendent did not like me. I didn't like him. I thought he was a dick because he was just obsessed about. He thought performance was just data, but you've got to question the worth of the data. What's it actually telling us? And it was shortly before GMP went into special measures. So yeah, go figure. Just go figure. So is what you're asking of those officers in terms of performance or in terms of what they do, is it something that they feel has worth? Because if they don't feel it's got worth, they won't do it. Or they'll do it begrudgingly. Can you all give me a thumbs up if you can like relate to this? Is this relatable? Yeah? All right. So we've got 4 reasons now. And that's on you. How you motivate them. Actually, I'd focus on the value. So the intrinsic value to the community. And this is, I always like fed this back saying, look, I'm in the heart of the community. I know exactly what the community wants. They want us to tackle organized crime, loan sharks. That's what they're interested in. They're not interested in dog shit on the pavements. They're not interested in other things that we can just do those things. They're interested in us targeting organized criminality, especially loan sharks. That's what they're interested in. They're not interested in the drive-offs. They're not interested in Asda. So there's no value to the community in us doing that. But there is intrinsic value in us getting maybe one detection of having put inside a loan shark for money laundering, or I can't remember what the offences are called anymore. Just fraud. It used to be called obtaining a pecuniary advantage. Is anyone that old that they remember that? Yeah, some of you are like, you didn't have to admit to that, by the way. So, I'd much rather just get one detection for fraud and put inside puts them inside jail in prison for 2 or 3 years for their activities around organized criminality and loan sharking. And the team can get behind that, can't they? Because it's got merit. You achieve what you set out to achieve. It's got worth. I mean, how many of you joined the police to do that kind of stuff? Like that was, I didn't know it at the start, but after a year or two in the police, I'm like, no, I seriously love getting bad guys. So it's got worth. And I could see the value because, when you destroy, dismantle, and disable an organized crime syndicate, it's got value in the community. The community love you for it. By the way, yeah, clear hole build. It's never going to work. It's a military thing. It's like that's what they did in the military, and we're not. This isn't a war zone. We're not policing war zones, and it didn't work. It didn't work. That's what they did in Afghanistan. It didn't work. So maybe think instead of clear hole build, something that we did 15 years ago. We used to get bollocked for it, by the way, like because we weren't putting police cars on forecourts of petrol stations. Destroy, dismantle, disable. The 3Ds. Destroy their ability to commit organized crime, dismantle their networks, dismantle their money flows, and disable them legally and ethically so that they can't actually reform. You've caused so much damage to their structural ability, their structure within the OCG that they can't even form up again. Like you've just destroyed, dismantled, disabled them. And then at the same time, enable, enable, enable. So you're enabling the community to be a much stronger version of itself. I get out of bed for that. I got out of bed for that in the morning. So that gave value to what we did. You all with me still on the fourth reason? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Yeah. The fifth reason, it's extrinsic. So there's something that's out of their control. They know they need to do it. They're motivated to do it. They know how to do it. They are so like, we are desperate to do more stop searches. I so want to tackle. We've got a list of the top 3 targets for enforcement activity, and we want to go for them. But every time we shout up comms and say, I've just seen X vehicle go past and it's being driven by such and such a person. Just to let you know, we intend to stop it. Could you bring another patrol down to assist us? I'll tell you when we're going to do the safe stop. We just need another patrol to support us because of the 3 on board. We know one of them, but the other 2 we don't know. And then comms come back and say, we've just got a couple of grade 1s that have just come in. Could you attend that instead? Now tell me that doesn't happen. Someone tell me that doesn't happen. I know. Who's in charge now, by the way? Who's in charge? Who's in control? Is it comms or is it you? I don't expect an answer. I'm just like firing that one out there. Who's actually got command and control of your team at that time? Just let you think about that. Like, so that's the fifth reason. They're so motivated. Like you can imagine on the radio hearing them, can't you? Just like they're so excited. You can hear the excitement in the voice. One of our targets is just driven by. It's a vehicle we're not aware of. There's 2 on board. We don't know them. Oh wow! It's just like this is what I joined the job for. Someone's going to get legally and ethically arrested. I know we can't predict the future, but it's sounding good so far, isn't it? Is it sounding good so far that if you heard that as a leader on the radio, would you be like, oh yeah? So you've now got a problem, haven't you? Because you've got officers who are like, I seriously want to tackle the things that the chief constable says is important, but I've got someone who believes they're doing their job well in comms who's stopping me doing it. Now, I'm not saying that's every comms operator, but give me a thumbs up if you think you know a comms operator like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's honesty time here. So there we go, the fifth reason. Now, can any of you think of any other reasons why people don't perform? So I'd love to make it 6, but I can only think of 5 so far, and it's those 5.